Adeyemi Afolabi stepped out of his expensive black Mercedes car. He adjusted his tailored suit, a move he usually does before going into one of his multi-billion naira business meeting. As he reached for his phone to check the time, something across the street caught his attention. Across the street was a woman, a beggar with unkempt hair and tattered clothes on the roadside. Something about this woman seemed familiar. Adeyemi squinted his eyes, trying to remember where he knew her from. Suddenly, the woman looked up. Their eyes met across the busy Akeya street. In that instant, Adeyemi's world spun out of control. Those eyes, I would know them anywhere, he whispered to himself. Could this be Ima? He thought to himself. Ima's eyes widened in shock. As she recognized Adeyemi, she got up and disappeared into the crowd. Adeyemi stood there, frozen in disbelief. He walked into the office and sat, staring at the sky through his glass office. His mind kept replaying that moment on the street. At 35, Adeyemi Afolabi was very well accomplished. He had built a multi-billion naira tech empire. His face was on every famous business magazine in the country. His name was mentioned in every boardroom. He had everything he ever wanted, but seeing Ima, homeless and destitute, had shaken him to his core. How did this happen to Ima? She was very brilliant and very ambitious, he thought to himself. He remembered how they used to talk about all their big dreams of changing the country together. What happened with Ima, he wondered. A knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. His receptionist at his company, Lola, informed him that his next appointment was ready. Adeyemi told her to cancel all his appointments for the day. He needed to take care of something. Lola looked surprised but nodded. In the 5 years she has worked for him, Adeyemi had never canceled any meeting. Adeyemi grabbed his coat and walked out. He needed to find Emma. I must know what happened to Emma, he said to himself. He couldn't bear the thought of Emma being out there alone, struggling all by herself. He walked into the busy street and began scanning for her. As he moved past a lot of people, their childhood memories together kept coming up in his mind. How did I forget Emma? How did I let her out of my sight? How did I not know she was going through a hard time? Adeyemi beat himself up with these questions. He felt very guilty because Emma was the one person that believed in Adeyemi's dreams. When they were younger, each time he told people about his wild dream of building a tech empire, they used to laugh at him, reminding him that he was just a village boy looking for things that were beyond him. Adeyemi had become so focused on his own success and building an empire that he forgot about the one person that was so important to him. Tears filled up in his eyes. He really wanted to find his childhood love so he can fix everything that went wrong. When they were growing up, Emma's home life was not good at all. Her parents fought and argued every day. Emma would run to Adeyemi's house to get away from the chaos in her home. There they would sit and dream of building a better life and better future together. But their high school graduation day was the last time he ever saw her. After high school, Adeyemi had a full scholarship to study abroad, while Emma was not so lucky. She had admission to the university, but her parents didn't have the money to send her to the school. Adeyemi was sad that he had lost touch with the one person that believed in him and encouraged him. He was determined to find Emma and make up for all the suffering she had gone through. Adeyemi continued his search through the city streets, hoping to find a woman who had once been his whole world. When he was abroad, he wrote letters to Emma often, but Emma was not writing back as often. Her emails were short, as if Adeyemi was bothering her. After university, Adeyemi graduated top of his class and came back to Nigerian to establish his tech company. He became very successful, and that kept him too busy to remember anything or anyone. Meanwhile, Emma's life had taken a drastic different turn. After high school, unable to afford university, she had taken a job at a local buka to help support her mother who was sick. Her dreams of changing the world slowly Adeyemi, replaced by the harsh realities of low-wage work and mounting medical bills. From the shadows, Emma watched Adeyemi's rise from afar. She was so happy for him. But a small part of her had hoped she would be by his side when he achieved it. As her mother's condition worsened, Emma's life became a cycle of work, hospital visits, and sleepless nights. She took on multiple other jobs so she could afford all the tested medication that were prescribed to her mother. There was no time for dreams. Survival became her only focus. When her mother finally passed away, Emma was left with a lot of debt. She sold everything they had and nothing was left. She couldn't even pay for the small bedroom they had rented. With so much frustration, she gave up on life and found herself on the streets of Lagos. As Adeyemi walked the streets of Lagos searching for Emma, he had no idea of the hardships she had endured. All he knew was that he had to find her. The guilt of his own success while Emma was homeless weighed heavily on him. He spent hours searching the areas where he'd seen her, showing her picture to other people in that area. Someone recognized the picture and directed Adeyemi to where he could find Emma. The streets here were dirty, buildings crumbling, homeless people laying all around the ground, their faces plastered with the same desperation he had seen on Emma's eyes. Adeyemi truly began to understand the magnitude of what had happened to Emma. This wasn't just a temporary setback. This was a failure in the system. This reminded him how lucky he had been and how easy it is to find anyone to become poor and destitute. As he stood there, feeling the harsh reality of life on the streets littered with homeless people and a lot of suffering, Adeyemi felt a profound shift. His own success, wealth, and power meant nothing if he could not use it to help those who needed it. Adeyemi was determined to find Emma no matter how long it took him. As nightfall came, he was so tired of walking around. He refused to go home. He found a bench and laid there to rest. As he sat up in the morning, something shocking happened. As he looked up into a crowd of homeless people, he saw Emma. He got up, grabbed his coat, and ran towards her, calling her name. Emma heard her name and turned around to see Adeyemi. As soon as she saw him, she took off running. She ran into a crowd of mourning commuters. Adeyemi was not going to allow Emma get away from him anymore. He pushed past the commuters and chased down Emma while screaming for her to wait. He was determined to find her and help. He ran until he caught up to her. He grabbed her blouse and they both fell on the ground. "I just want to talk to you, Emma. Please stop running." His breath heavy and fast. Emma laughed. "Oh, you want to help me like you helped me all those years ago. Where were you when I suffered? Where were you when my mom died? Where were you when I became homeless?" she asked. The accusation hit Adeyemi like a physical blow. "I didn't know, Emma," Adeyemi replied. "Oh, you didn't know because you didn't care. You were busy becoming a billionaire," she responded very harshly. Adeyemi held her shoulder and looked into her eyes. "That's not true, Emma. I never forgot about you. I tried to stay in touch, but you never replied to my letters." Adeyemi felt tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Emma. I'm so sorry, but please, let me make it right. Let me help you now." "I don't want your help, Adeyemi. I don't want your guilt or your pity. Just leave me alone, go back to your perfect life, and forget about me, because that is what you're good at." Emma walked away, leaving Adeyemi, standing there devastated. But Adeyemi was not one to give up easily. Emma's words had hurt him deeply. He didn't care if she wanted his help or not. He was going to help her. He began to look for ways he can help Emma and all the other homeless people in that area. For the first time in years, Adeyemi felt a sense of purpose beyond growing his company and increasing his wealth. He got in touch with some builders and paid them to build a homeless shelter where homeless people can sleep, eat, and have job training. As he worked, Adeyemi kept an eye out for Emma. Sometimes he would see her begging around his office. After the building was commissioned, Adeyemi sent his workers to invite all the homeless people in Emma's area. They all came in to get some food, a place to sleep, and register to be trained in different skills. Emma came with them, not knowing that Adeyemi had built that because of her. Emma had registered to train in tech. She was very good at it. 6 months later, he was great at programming and won a spot to intern in Adeyemi's company. Adeyemi kept an eye on her, but didn't approach her, so she won't run away and reject the help. One day while working in the office, he overheard people talking about how Adeyemi had built the homeless shelter and helped a lot of people from the streets. Emma was shocked to hear this about Adeyemi. She had always thought having money had changed him into a monster, but she was wrong about him. Emma walked into Adeyemi's office to confront him. "Did you build a shelter and help people because of your guilt?" she asked harshly. "No, Emma. I didn't only do it for you. I did it for everyone." "So why did you decide to do this now after all these years?" she asked. "Because when I came to look for you, for the first time in my life, I saw how many people were suffering, and I realized how lucky I have been. I needed to use my wealth and resources to solve problems for other people, not only to make myself rich, he also answered. Emma wanted to stay angry and hold on to bitterness, but looking into Adeyemi's eyes, she saw genuine remorse, and she saw the boy she had once loved. I don't know if I can forgive you, Emma said softly. I know, Adeyemi responded. I don't expect you to forgive me today, or ever. But please let me try to make things right, not just for you, but for everyone in your situation. She informed him that she wasn't the same girl he knew 20 years ago. Because of all the things she had been through, she was cold, bitter, and angry. Adeyemi nodded and guaranteed her that he will do everything in his power to make things right with her. Adeyemi walked towards her and gave her a warm hug. She continued to intern at Adeyemi's company while enrolling in the university to study computer engineering. Adeyemi became a huge support for her, gave her a full-time position, and paid her enough to take care of all her needs. She volunteered at the homeless house and helped mentor other people that came in there. Together, Emma and Adeyemi started an organization and built more homeless shelters in different areas and expanded the skill training program for more children and youth and provided scholarship for people that could not afford to go to school. Together, they created a better community for people that desperately needed help. 3 years later, Adeyemi proposed to Emma, and they got married in a beautiful ceremony, surrounded by friends and family. In what ways are you making your world a better place? You may not be able to save the world, but you can impact your family, neighbors, or your community. If you enjoyed this story, please let's continue the conversation in the comments section. What little ways can we make our community a better place? Leave your answer in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching.